Buying a couple of properties is easy, but building a portfolio that funds your future, that takes strategy. In this video today, I'll walk you through exactly how to create your long-term property investment plan using the same process that we use internally at Aspire Portfolio. The goal here is to define your monthly net income figure that you need. Now, what I mean by net is I mean cash flow after your mortgage, your maintenance, your letting fees, everything, all right? So if your big goal, for example, tied to a lifestyle is £3,000 a month, so this could be, right, at £3,000 a month, I believe that I could either work part-time, maybe go travel. Maybe at 6K a month, you can fully quit your job and retire with security. So just clarify, you don't need millions to get to freedom, but most people do need a 500K to a £1 million portfolio. And I know right now, by the way, if you're sat with 50 to 100 grand in your account, you're going, well, there's a big stretch. So let's find your freedom number. Everyday expenses like mortgage, food, subscriptions, everything, lifestyle could be car, holidays, etc., gifts, donations. This all adds up to your freedom figure. So for me, for example, I really like going to the gym and I don't want to miss out going on the gym. And so if I'm going to talk about financial freedom, it has to cover those sort of things. What I will say is like your lifestyle isn't the dream lifestyle. It's a lifestyle that you're aiming to maintain. And by the way, everyone's number's different. There is no wrong thing. I actually spoke to somebody who had £600,000 and what they wanted to do is they needed to retire on £1,500 a month. Wow. Okay, that's a pretty low and achievable figure. I've also spoken to people saying I've got 200,000 to invest and I want to make £5,000 a month. Well, that's just not going to happen first cycle round because 200 grand might get them 3 or 4 properties that might get them £1,000 a month in total. And then we need to go through the activity of refinancing in a few years and then going again. So the goal doesn't matter, it's just being reasonable on the time frame that you're going to achieve it. Which brings me on to the next step. We need to map out that timeline. Milestones matter. Look, what I want to show you here is that wealth is built in phases, not all at once. So I started 10 years ago with 33 grand in debt. That's a pretty stressful place to be. It wasn't like I owned anything from it. It was just stupidity. So credit cards, personal loans, all of that sort of thing, spent on nothing good, I can assure you. And fast forward to 10 years, we've got way over 100 properties in the portfolio, a multi-8-figure net worth. And I'm not saying that to impress you, but to impress upon you that did not happen overnight. So let's go through it. Year 1, if you like, is about learning the game, understanding property types and yields and making sure you've secured your first deal. Year 2 to 4 is the build phase. These are 2 to 4 income generating properties. And this is focusing on consistency, not size. Ultimately, what I always say to people is, do you have your first 5 boring, vanilla, buy-to-let properties? And honestly, when people come to me and go, I'm really excited about HMOs. Okay, have you looked at the numbers, the reality of HMOs? No. Okay, shock horror. You go through the numbers of them and they realize they're making net an extra maybe £100 a month with way higher risk. Have you got your first 5 boring, vanilla buy-to-lets? If the answer is no, stop looking at any other strategy and keep it simple. Year 5 to 7, this is the refinance and compound stage. So compounding is when money builds on money. So let me give you an example of this. If I have 200,000, we'll stick with that, and we're just going to keep it easy and say you need 50K per property, just to keep it nice and simple. Well, let's say I buy 4 properties with that in really good areas. In our areas at Aspire Portfolio, we're hitting those minimum criteria of 5% capital growth and 4% growth on rentals. Now, that doesn't mean anything, but we're going to be using mortgages to leverage, okay? So 200K buys 4 properties. Now that 200,000, this might blow your mind, in a 5-year period, almost nearly always doubles, almost always nearly doubles. So think about this logically. That doesn't mean the value of the property doubles, it's the cash investment. So in that 5-year period, our £200,000 investment adds up to £400,000 investment. And then what we're able to do is refinance and pull out about 75% of that uplift, just to make it easy. Simple numbers. Started with 200 cash or equity. Now got 400 cash or equity, and we're going to pull out 75% of that 200, which is 150 grand. On top of that, you've managed to build up hopefully some other funds, and now we get to go again. Of course, now you need a bit more than 50,000, but we reinvest and we add more properties. Now, ultimately, the key with this isn't just buy a property and wait. You need to, it's all the work beforehand, the analysis, what makes a good deal. We have a target criteria that assesses and analyzes the type of property, the area, the regeneration going on, the growth in the area, focusing on existing properties and making sure we get the right tenant type. And we call that Target. It's a trademark platform that we utilize at Aspire Portfolio. Target criteria is our trademark system at Aspire that we use to help us and you build your portfolio. So we want to make sure we're focusing on leverage, refinance, and portfolio efficiency. And by the way, if you've heard enough and you're like, I don't want to waste another minute, I've got 50 grand plus to invest, I want to start building the portfolio, help me out, Jamie, just put portfolio in the comments section below. I'll send you a link and you can book in and have a chat and we can see how we can help you moving forward. So year 8 to 10, this is all about consolidation. Now, a consolidation isn't about get rid of the portfolio. It's really about assessing the overall. So coming up to this 10-year mark, most of you, if you started with 200K, for example, you will now have around 10 properties, even if you haven't added up too much. And I know in your head, you're like, how does it become that? Well, we've bought them, we've added to the pot, we've refinanced, we've bought more, and now we're coming up to year 10, you're gonna end up refinancing and being able to acquire some more, leaving you with 10 properties. But maybe at this point, you wanna start doing some consolidation. Now, for me, I've decided I wasn't going to do that, and I just started getting aggressive in buying, which is why I now have over 100 properties in the portfolio, and likely, I don't think I'll ever stop, if I'm honest, but ask me in 20 years. So what I want to be doing right now, if you're focusing on retirement or financial freedom, is I want to prioritize the passive income at this point. Notice I've not obsessed throughout this 10-year period about how much money can I quit my job. I'm focusing on the long term. Making 3 grand, not too difficult. Making it every single month where you can guarantee it so you can quit your job, that takes time, especially if it's not through an earning opportunity, it's from a passive income opportunity. So the plan then is to focus on capital growth, focus on really strong numbers that are going to bring the property portfolio up. Then we're going to refinance at the higher value and then reinvest. So we have a unique approach to this. We like having a strong framework. So what is strong? First of all, simple. It's doable within your time, skill, finance level. Targeted, it fits your yield, growth, tax strategy, and exit goals. Resilient, this is withstanding rate rises, voids, maintenance, management costs. O is for optimized, tax efficient, financially structured properly with a smart approach, and talk to an accountant with that. N is net positive, real cash flow after all costs. And I'm not looking over to take over the world here, but I want a strong cash flow. And finally, growth. I want to make sure it's in a strong capital growth area. So when we're looking at area selection, we want to make sure we're utilizing the right tools. So it might be Zoopla Trends, Rightmove Sold Data, or one of my favorite platforms is Lendlord. Lendlord is absolutely huge in what we do. So how do we actually research these investment areas? So I'm going to give you a great example. So when we're looking at 2 areas, we want to make sure we've got balance. So in our areas, I'll just let you know where they are. So it's West and South Yorkshire we focus on, but not just West and South Yorkshire, specific roads, specific streets, specific areas, and they have to tick a lot of different boxes in order to tick the box there. The other area that we think about is London. Now, I am not knocking London. I think London is an amazing place. I think it will always be a great investment opportunity. However, what I'm talking about is the fact that you might pay £500,000 for a really crappy 1-bed flat, whereas in Leeds, you can buy a 3-bed, mid-terrace, amazing property as an investment opportunity at 130k. And the reason I'm saying balance is London, theoretically, over the long term, will have more capital growth. Okay, logically speaking, that does make sense. It's got a really big population, loads of people investing both in the UK and from abroad, and that's just not quite the same in Leeds. All right, so capital growth, in theory, and I say in theory because the last 5 years it absolutely has not been a proven theory, but in theory, London over the long term should have the most capital growth. The challenge is that rents aren't absolutely positively correlated. So what that means is, if a £100,000 property brings in £600 a month, that doesn't mean a £1 million property brings in £6,000 a month, or a £2 million property brings in £12,000 a month. And so because of that, there's not really a balance in there. Now, when we're looking at the strategy here and the types of properties, what I want you focusing in on is that the first 5 boring vanilla buy-to-lets. All right, boring vanilla buy-to-lets, 150 grand properties, really good capital growth, really good rental, and you will triple, I'm going to say this again, triple your investment, your cash investment within 10 years. Okay, you will triple your investment within 10 years. By the way, it's really important to understand that your first properties might not be your forever strategy. So for example, I have it all the time where people ask me to build their portfolio and they're like, can you find me some HMOs? I'm like, yeah, sure. Do you have your first 5 buy-to-lets? And if you don't, the answer is no. I factually will not do it for you. HMOs are not better than buy-to-lets, period. They do not make more money. Factually, find me a HMO where cash in 10 years from now, it does better than a good buy-to-let. It just doesn't. And trust me, I've done the numbers. And by the way, I've got enough money to buy HMOs or buy-to-lets, and it's buy-to-let every single day. That being said, it doesn't matter if you want to do HMOs. Do you have your first 5 boring vanilla buy-to-lets? And it's for 2 reasons. Number 1, you need a foundational understanding of investment, and HMOs is such a compliance nightmare. By the way, not knocking them. I think they're a great strategy. But having 5 tenants, the fire risk, all of that, you need to make sure you have a comparison. And number 2, after having 5 buy-to-lets, and then you'll get your 1 HMO, at least you've got a real accurate side-by-side comparison. So there's a lot of nuance as you're building your portfolio. It's going to be around how much cash you've got, your timelines, how much equity you're looking to grow. Is it a cash flow strategy? Is it a long-term strategy? But ultimately, all of these things need to be thought about upfront. We need to know the end in mind so that we can understand the journey towards them. If I talk to you on the phone, I can near guarantee that 90% of the time, what you think you want and what you actually need, there is a gap. In reality, what all of us should be doing is focusing on the long-term nature of property investment. And I can pretty much guarantee you this, that almost everyone that we work with will become a net worth millionaire in 10 years. I really do believe that. The challenge is that people want quick. They want the exciting. They want the get rich quick. Or they're the other side and they've got absolute analysis paralysis. They've had money in their bank for a long time. They've never managed to take action on it. And this just isn't something that's actually going to help. So how do we get over that? Well, often it's about outsourcing the action, outsourcing the knowledge. And that's what we do for our clients. So look, yes, you can do this on your own. Great. If you've watched enough videos where you feel confident and you've been taking the action, then keep on pushing and definitely do that. If you need that bit of help, and honestly, sometimes we build people's entire portfolios. Our largest investor, we've done close to 50 properties for them now, which is crazy how they started out. On the other side, there's a lot of people that come to us to find their first couple of properties. They watch what we're doing, learn the ropes, and then go do it on their own. That's great as well. Let's book in a phone call where we can actually map out your goals, because you listening to me right here is not me understanding you, and there is a distinct difference. I want to have a call with you, map out your strategy, and absolutely deliver the deals that actually fit what you're trying to achieve without the need of chasing random leads or hoping it all works out. So if you want to take that next step, maybe you want your hand held a bit and you can't afford for it to go wrong, put portfolio in the comments. We'll send you a link, fill in your details and book in your one-to-one call. And I'd love to get an understanding of where you as an individual are at today, where you want to be in 10 years' time, and I will put a blueprint together that we can execute on together to create that life of freedom. If that sounds good for you, put portfolio in the comments. It's obviously whilst we've got availability, they are one-to-one phone calls, but put it in, we'll send you a link, and I'd love to have a chat. I hope this has been valuable, even if it's just you're at the beginning of your journey, just getting excited and starting to piece together the puzzle, as it were, and I'd love to be a small part in that. And the way you can do that, and by supporting me for putting out these videos, is you can hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, because the more of you that watch, the more of you that share, the more people I'm able to reach. And ultimately, that is the vision of this channel, is I want to impact more people like you. So if you feel somebody will get value for this, share the link with them, get them to watch it. Otherwise, put portfolio in the comments, we'll have a chat, and I'll see you in the next video.